There was once an age of sword and sorcery, where red-blooded barbarians and tyrannical sorcerers dominated the imagination of the masses. During this era, where magic met steel, there was one man who stood apart from the others. He was the righter of wrongs, protector of the innocent, relentless avenger of evil, a Puritan adventurer known as Solomon Kane.
Solomon Kane was a creation brought to life by the incredible Robert E. Howard. Robert E. Howard was as fascinating as the characters he created, but since this isn't a documentary about him, I'll simply talk about the things that made him so important. For starters, he pioneered pulp fiction. No, not that pulp fiction, this pulp fiction. Today, pulp is seen as this really obscure thing, but in reality, it's incredibly simple. Pulp is a short story. They were incredibly popular in America during the late 20s, with magazines such as Weird Tales. It's in this magazine that Howard would create an entire subgenre of fantasy known as sword and sorcery. Where sword and sorcery differs from traditional fantasy, however, is how more grounded in reality it is. Robert E. Howard, before creating the worlds his characters would inhabit, would do a lot of historical research. The reason he did historical research was to make his worlds feel more realistic, grounded, and lived in. Solomon Kane is set during the late 16th century. This was considered by many Europeans to be an age of exploration, a fitting setting for Solomon as he ventures into the deep jungles of Africa, the scorching deserts of Arabia, and the dark, shuddersome forests of Transylvania. But who is this enigmatic Solomon Kane? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Little is known about the Puritans' earlier years, apart from one event that changed the Englishman's life forever. In his first ever story, Red Shadows, as he traveled near the French-Belgian border, he saw a village completely plundered. All that remained was blackened houses and smoke. Not too far from the village, he saw a girl dying beside a tree. Saddened and angered on how anyone could have done this, we get the best part in the entire novel. Slowly he rose, mechanically wiping his hand upon his cloak. A dark scowl had settled on his somber brow. Yet he made no wild, reckless vow, swore no oath by saints or devils. Men shall die for this. Castle of the Undead was released in October of 1973. The book starts off with Solomon Kane getting ripped to shreds by a pack of wolves in the outskirts of Transylvania after getting mugged by a group of bandits. So, you know, the regular Solomon Kane fare. His quest this time is to find the daughter of a baron who was last seen near these parts. He gets rescued by Count Dracula, who at this point hasn't revealed his true intentions. Solomon Kane, grateful for Dracula saving his life, swears a boon, a favor to the Count as thanks. It's then discovered to the shock of Kane that the Baron's daughter he was sent to look for had become a succubus for Dracula, and tries to kill him. After defeating the succubus, the Puritan, finally knowing the true intentions of the vampire Count, begins an epic duel to the death. However, just as Kane is about to send the vampire Count to the fiery pits of hell, the Count asks the Englishman to spare his life to fulfill the vow. Kane, not wanting to lie to himself, and being a man of honor, spares Dracula, but with a very heavy heart. As Kane ventures on, he realizes that it was a mistake to let the vampire count live, as you cannot make deals with people that are playing an entirely different game, and both of the men were indeed playing a different game in life. Kane being the protector of the innocent, while Dracula being the corrupter. Castle of the Undead and its subsequent follow-up Retribution and Blood are fantastic and downright cinematic. They're the very reason I'm making this video to begin with. It also reminded me how we don't have heroes like this anymore. Like a lot of things today, mainstream comics have fallen from grace. Heroes, instead of having strong convictions to do good, are mopey and confused. We don't need heroes that are confused, as we ourselves are. We need heroes to inspire us to be stronger, to show us that the smallest good deed can make a world a slightly better place. And Solomon Kane is that hero. I could go on, but I implore you to explore this fascinating character on your own. There are hundreds of great Solomon Kane stories out there. With that out the way, we must now part ways. I guess I'll see you in the Christmas special, as we are in December. So, until next time, bye.